Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to another sealed event of Edge of Eternities. It is some more pre-release stuff, some early access, so thank you very much to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with this promotional early access event token. Without further ado, let's just hop right in there, see some of these brand new space cards, spacecraft, all of the crazy stuff going on here in Edge of Eternities. So for our rares and mythics, we've got multiple spacecraft, which is pretty cool. One of them we can shove into pretty much any sealed deck. Sealed tends to play slower than draft, so even in some quicker formats, you could often, with a little bit of ramp, get to an 8-drop bomb rare. And this is a format that seems like it will play a little bit slower. It has a lot of good ramp with the ramper tokens flying around anywhere, and a lot of really efficient removal to help keep you alive till later in the game. So I think Extinguisher Battleship looks like an incredible card, a full-on board wipe we can play in our deck regardless of our colors. But we have another vehicle here with the Seriema. This is 2 white and 1 more. When it enters, you search for a legendary creature, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So no matter what, you draw a card when you play it, and you have to station it up for 7 total power throughout the game. But if you do get it stationed, then all of your tapped legendary creatures have indestructible, and you get a 5/5 flyer. So if we have some powerful legends in our sealed pool, this could be pretty good, but if we don't, if this has no enter effect, it's probably not quite worth running as just a Station 7 5/5 flyer. So depends what we have here. We have no rare or mythic legends though, so I'm not sure how likely we are to play the Seriema as our second spacecraft there. We've got a breeding pool. We, of course, have reprints of Shocklands in the set. I believe there are only 5 Shocklands being reprinted right now, though, so the other 5 will come into standard at a later date. We've got a few creatures here. One of them's a mythic, so we'll check that one out first. The Famished World Sire, another card showing off how this is a bit of a rampy, late-game oriented set. This is an 8 mana 0/0 with Ward 3. But it has Devour Land 3, Devour, a callback to Shards of Alara. Pretty old mechanic, but what it means is that you can sacrifice whatever it's telling you to. Since this is Devour Land, it means you can sacrifice any number of lands specifically, and for each land you sacrifice, because it's Devour Land 3, you get 3 +1/+1 counters on this. So if you play this for 8, and let's say you had a mana rock or a mana dork, so you sack 7 lands, this will still be a 21/21 with Ward 3, and then you'll look at the top 21 cards of your library and put any number of lands from them onto the battlefield. So you immediately just get all the lands back anyway out of your deck, and now you're really unlikely to flood out, because you're super unlikely to draw more lands from there. This seems incredible. In sealed, at least 8 mana is a whole ton. Potentially for draft though, where more aggressive decks might show up. But if we've got ramp in the sealed pool, green could be a real fun place to be. We also have 2 white creatures, and they show off the new warp mechanic, at least the Reclaimer does. Warp allows you to play this creature for a reduced cost for its warp cost, but if you do it that way, you have to exile it in your end step so that you can play it out of exile later to keep it around. So for 3 mana, you get the creatures enter the battlefield effect, and you get it on the board for 1 turn to be able to station your spacecraft with it, or like crew a vehicle, or if it has like a passive ability that's relevant, you can have that ability for 1 turn. Then it goes away, and then of course when you cast it later for its full mana cost, you keep it forever. This one, because it has a really good enter effect, is going to be primarily warping in to reanimate something for 3 mana, and then you get to reanimate something at 5 mana when you play it for the full cost. I actually misread this card in my first sealed events. My opponent played this against me. It only returns non-creature, non-land permanents, so it's not quite as good as I thought that it was, but it's still very good. It can pick up your spacecraft from your graveyard. If you have a Banishing Light that you milled, one of the removal spells that's like a permanent card, like an enchantment or an artifact, you could pick that up from grave. So you do have to build around it a bit. You have to hope you've opened some good non-creature, non-land permanents, but this could be very good if you have some very good permanents to pick up. Lastly, we have Lightstall Inquisitor, which is a great aggressive-oriented kind of tempo play. A 1-mana 2/1 Vigilance that makes your opponent exile a card from their hand when you play it, and whatever they exiled now costs them 1 more to cast, or if it's a land, comes into play tapped, so it'll slow your opponent down and just be a 2/1 Vigilance for 1. Seems great for aggressive decks. And last but not least, our non-creature, non-spacecraft cards are Terminal Velocity, 4 and double red, 6 mana total. But then you get to put an artifact or creature from your hand onto the battlefield with haste, and make it so when it leaves the battlefield it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature, and at the beginning of your end step you have to sacrifice it. So a weird, slightly narrow board wipe. It's a board wipe where you have to have another card in your hand to cast it, and that card has to be a decently expensive artifact or creature. Really narrow card, but board wipes can be very powerful if you get them during the right board state. Yeah, I think if we're already playing red and we have a lot of high mana value stuff to do, we might try it out, but I don't think it's something that's really going to pull me into the color. And now for the final rare, we have Corral of the Void, 3 and a black for an Aura, an enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put a creature from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. That's pretty fun. And also, at the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice it unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield or a spell was warped this turn. Interesting. So you attack aggressively, you need trades to be happening during combat, or you have to like sacrifice something or play a removal spell to keep it around. I don't know about that. I mean, you put the creature from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking, period, end of sentence. That creature stays if they don't trade stuff off into it. So I guess that's probably pretty good. Even in the worst case scenario where you don't trigger Void, you're keeping whatever you've reanimated unless they actually spend resources to kill that. Yeah, that's probably pretty dang good. Strange card. Kind of a zombify out of your opponent's graveyard. But a cool one nonetheless. This set has a lot of designs like that. They're trying to make things feel a little weird and otherworldly for the space set. So let's check out our multicolored and colorless. This is not a set with a lot of multicolored spells or colorless fixing. We have 1 All Fates scroll for fixing in colorless and 1 command bridge. But again, no dual lands at common or uncommon. There's only these shock lands at rare. The way that you want to try to play 3+ colors in this set is to play a bunch of cards that make lander tokens primarily. Those can search for any land from your deck. Like, let me give you an example. There we go. Like Sammy's Curiosity here makes one of those lander tokens. But there's several cards that'll make these little things. So anything particularly interesting in colorless? I mean, the battleship for anything we play. Keep in mind that we have 2 fixers with the scroll and the command bridge. And any signposts and commons really pulling us any specific way? We have the Ship's Engineer, 4 mana for 2/4. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you get a 2/2. Seems fine. And then Servandum. Have played against this in our first sealed event. This card seems really strong. It's a little difficult for the mana cost. Double black and white. So kind of a restricted mana cost, but gives your whole board +1/+0 and Death Touch until end of turn. So if you are playing a nice go-wide black-white deck and you have some 1/1s and 2/2s and stuff, normally you're going to start getting walled off pretty hard by large spacecraft and big green creatures in this format. This makes sure that doesn't happen. Your 1/1s, your 2/2s and stuff are gonna get attacks in because they are threatening to trade way up, even if your opponent's creatures are really big blockers. So I think Servandum's pretty dang good. So I like that more than I like the Ship's Engineer in terms of cards that send us a specific direction. But again, checking out the rares. Yeah, I mean, multiple white rares, and they're pretty aggressive. Yeah, I could see maybe black-white ending up being a thing. But green ramp would be the cooler place to be. Famished World Sire, Battleship there. So we'll see. We'll see what we've got in terms of our individual colors and see what looks the strongest. I do think this is a format I'm probably going to play way more ramp than anything else because that just looks like the funnest thing to do. Unless the aggro decks just end up being really strong. and I kind of just have to play what's strong. Probably going to be doing a lot of green ramp nonsense. So our white looks fine here. We have a little bit of slightly narrow removal like Radiant Strike only killing tapped stuff or artifacts, and then Focus Fire's only shooting attackers or blockers. But I think those are fine cards. And then we have decent aggressive stuff that we can play. Primarily having a 1-drop creature is pretty good. We have some 2-mana warps to play some stuff early, primarily the Luminary getting a 1/1 onto the board for 2 mana. But if we're really lucky and we get the Inquisitor down turn 1, then we can play this Trooper, get a +1/+1 counter on that Inquisitor just to have something to do on turn 2. So it looks like a fine aggressive color. Lots of +1/+1 counter synergies with 3 Weft Blade Enhancers here to help get counters all over the board to trigger the Rayblade Trooper, giving us 1/1s when all of our creatures with counters on them die. So that's pretty cute. We would, I think, want to pair this with black more than anything because I really like our black-white uncommons, so hopefully our black has a lot of good cheap creatures. Does have a couple 2-drops, which is great. The Evangel is also really good for this kind of deck. Oh, never mind, I got this mixed up. There's a 2-mana 3/2 that lets you sacrifice a creature or artifact to surveil one. That card is really good. This one, you have to have other cards you could sacrifice for this to do anything. It doesn't actually do anything by itself. Which I guess is true of the other card as well, but it doesn't have like the sacrifice ability on this card to get some value. It's just 2-mana 2/2. The Virus Beetle is nice, though, to get out early. I was very impressed by the Foul Grave Ship in our first deck, so I would definitely play that here. Yeah, it does look like the mana curve overall, definitely a bit high for aggro, but that has seemed to be the case in this set, in this format in general. It does seem like a lot more late game oriented, but we'll check out our other colors now. Peeping on the blue, we've got Unravel. Counterspell that draws us a card when we counter warp stuff, so that is a piece of interaction. There's also a Divert Disaster, little Quench variant here, 2-mana counter unless they pay 2. Lost in Space to slow them down, bounce something back to the top of their deck. Cerebral Download, this seems pretty good. Like Surveil 1 or 2 and then draw 3. And a bunch of fine filler creatures overall. Yeah, blue looks fine. I don't see any huge, super exciting reason to play the color, but it does look fine. The same is true for black. The Chorale of the Void looks pretty fun. We've got 2 really good removal spells, but then the creature base, don't really think any of these are super exciting. They all look fine, though. Circuit Feeder could be pretty good with enough artifacts on board, but we only have like 3 in black. Depends on the color we pair it with. These heavies seem super filler, though. Honestly, the Comet Crawler seems a little filler, but I'd still play it. Swarm Color, a little filler, but I'd play it. Yeah, I mean, black looks good. It doesn't look bad. Double Grav Kill is huge. 4-mana instant speed, exile creature spacecraft is quite good, but it's not a like must-play color or anything. Red looks like it has the least amount of spells out of all of our colors so far. Could try to drill too deep. Try to unlock one of our spacecrafts ASAP. That's very cute, but probably not that good. Yeah, I mean, there's fine cards here, but I think the color just looks a little bit too light to be playing. And green, there's a lot here. There's a high quantity of cards. How's the removal looking? We have a Close Encounter and a Siege Ship Impact. So we can kill small creatures with Close Encounter, and we can blow up artifacts or enchantments with the Impact. So we'd want to pair this with a color ideally that has good removal. Do we have the ramp to make it to our incredible high mana value plays like the World Sire and our colorless card? Let's see. Do I have any Surveil or Self-Mill? because that would make this pull through the west ramp as well. This picks up some cards from our grave and then puts some lands from our grave right onto the battlefield. So pretty cool with surveilling and self-milling. Doesn't look like I really have any in green overall. I've got like the one Thawbringer. Oh, I do have a Larval Scoutlander. That's at least one piece of ramp. Sacrifice one land to get two onto the battlefield tapped, so you go up one mana. If you have a lander token, this is really good. Lets you sack that lander token for free and get two lands out of it instead of just the one. So if you have a lander token, it's always better to sack the lander token than a basic, because if you tutor out the basic with the lander token, then you're getting the same as if you just sacked the basic immediately for two of them. Except now you don't have to spend the two to make that basic that you end up sacking to the Scoutlander. So that seems really good, that little combo. Looks like we have +1/+1 counter synergy here as well. Put a +1/+1 counter on the whole board. I don't think we have anything that cares about the +1/+1 counters in green, so we still end up with just a single card in the whole sealed pool that cares that we have +1/+1 counters on the board. But we've got a lot of ways to put them out. Alright. And I think the green's quite good. It's lowest on removals, so I might just end up playing another green-black deck here. There's no legends here either, so if we go green-white, we don't get to play our white mythic vehicle. I could see running the white vehicle if we went black-white. It does get Servandum. Okay, we'll play the Battleship. I don't actually have a ton of lander tokens, so I'd probably play the Scroll as well, playing multiple 8-mana bomb rares. Command Bridge for sure. Maybe a kill ship if we're ramping enough. Nutrient block. This is just the food trail, the Trail of Crumbs or whatever. Candy Trail? I forget what it's called from Wilds of Eldraine. The card is not that good. So did I have any removal if I play white? Because I am still kind of interested in that. Let's get that Reclaimer. I just don't have a lot I can reanimate with the Reclaimer. Just some random vehicles that probably don't end up in our graveyard all that often, because we're not self-milling for it. Same reason the 5-mana green recursion was awkward. I mean, I get a Radiant Strike, a couple Focus Fires. This is certainly playable. And then just all of the creatures to curve out with and try to throw counters all over the board. This seems fine. Definitely. I just think the black would pair better, though. It's the Grav Kill, the Corral of the Void. More big explosive plays rather than trying to curve really efficiently. Some explosive plays and some 2-for-1-y stuff. Yeah, I'm going to go big and slow with this one again. That just feels like where you sort of want to be in Edge of Eternities, at least in Sealed. Go like this. We're not the best splashy deck. I have one Command Bridge, one Scroll, and like one Lander token. I guess there's a Pollinator as well. Do I have a low enough creature count that this... Yeah, I feel like I have a low enough creature count that this greenhouse gets a little awkward. Rather swap these out for random cheaper creatures, so I can actually be stationing my other value spacecrafts. I hope we have more use for lander tokens than our opponent with this Edge Rover. So I'm still interested in swapping these two out for something else. We could still splash a little bit. So this Radiant Strike just costs a single white mana. So that's a pretty splashable removal spell. Out of the blue, nothing super strong to splash there. Out of the red, nothing super strong to splash there. Yeah, I could see just splashing in a white removal spell instead of at least the greenhouse with a lower creature count. Just come on in Radiant Strike. And then now we're running some basic planes. That also gives us the opportunity to draw 3 off of the scroll instead of just 2 if we flood out in the late game, which does seem potentially relevant. I could even play Breeding Pool if I wanted to, just instead of the 7th Forest. I will have to pay 2 life every now and then, but then I can draw an extra card every now and then. If I had like a really good card that costs a single blue to splash in, then running a Breeding Pool would seem pretty great. But I don't think I do. I just have fine cards. Maybe Cerebral Download at that point. Big instant speed card draw. I don't know. I think I'm happy with just the white splash here. And check this curve out. Certainly a little slower than normal. Lots of top end, but that is how I have liked it. That's how the set list looks here. We've got a bit of ramp here. The scroll gets us up a mana. The Pollinator gets us up a mana. The Scoutlander gets us up a mana. The Curiosity. So we're jumping up that curve, trying to get to these cards a little early. Just blow our opponent up with these. Plenty of removal here. Almost the maximum amount we could really be playing without splashing just every color. Yeah. Looks like a pretty sweet one. We will call it a deck here. Hop into the gameplay. See how this does. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1 with the Pollinator turn 1. Pollinator turn 2, I can cast Curiosity. I wouldn't be able to crack the Curiosity in the same turn. But I guess I don't want to crack it because I can crack it to the Scoutlander anyway. Alright. If I draw a 2-drop creature, I can play Curiosity and tap the Lander token to make another creature regardless. Seam Rip, 1 mana Banishing Light. Well, that's pretty good for our opponent. They Oblivion Ringed our Pollinator. Squire's Lightblade. Play with no creatures on board. Fine with me. Sack the Lander for double land. Boop and boop. Make sure we have triple green in case we draw that green mythic rare. So this is 3 mana to equip for +1/+0 now. Feels pretty bad. I guess they just needed the artifact on board for the +1/+0. Sure. Let's germinate. And Edge Rover. And that's actually a genuinely great draw, because that's exactly the power we need to immediately station the Scoutlander. Not that it can get past a 2/4, but just getting that power investment out of the way, getting it all charged up and stationed feels good. Oh my god. They have the mill 20, so I have 8 turns, 8 turns to kill them. We have to go full speed ahead, so I'm exiling the blocker and sending all damage. They're down to 10. Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty good. Obviously, if you draw it at the wrong time, it's pretty bad, but if you have it in your opening hand and you play a pretty low mana curve to make sure you have cheap removal and blockers, like, if you have 20 life by the time you cast this, it wins any long game of Magic. So as long as your deck has the tools it needs to make the game go a little long, then having that in the opening hand for the mill 20 is huge. Again, it has flaws. You draw it when you're at like 4 or 5 life, it's not going to do anything. But 20 cards when you have a 40 card deck is a scary amount of mill. It looks like they're dead here. They have 1 blocker untapped. Oh! Okay, I mean, they're already dead on board, but I can't resist. Oh, shoot. I have 5 cards left. They actually blanked my World Sire. Alright, whatever. I'll just make a 3-3 and then kill them. I was so excited about that. I'm like, wait a second. I actually can't really do that. Alright. Man, the joy that I got, I was like, I can make this thing so big. And it's like, well, I'm not putting any lands out of my deck anyway, so I might as well just keep my lands on board in case they somehow survive. Tragedy. Tragedy. I think the correct play there was probably like devouring like 3 lands or something, so I still have enough to cast anything I draw into, but also that's a big enough threat that if I don't lethal them that turn, it helps me kill them next turn. The play is definitely not to put any lands we see out, though. We want the maximum amount of time to not mill out there. Anyways, that is 1-0. Nice quick game as well, which is nice. I'm going to try to keep all of my recording sessions to about an hour apiece now that we've gotten our first full pre-release event out of the way. That is just in the interest of time, so I can record, 6 of these videos for you all in just one day. So we will be cutting things off a little bit early if we go like 6-0 or something. If we've been recording for like an hour, then we'll just end it there. Rather than playing a set number of games, we're playing to the 1 hour mark in all of these future early access events from here. Okay, here we are on the play now for game number 2. We've got a Thawbringer on turn 3. Just surveil a little bit, try to find what we need. Oh, Command Bridge is not the land I thought it was. As you can tell, this is still very much the pre-release. I'm still very much not familiar with the cards. This is a land you have to tap an untapped permanent to play, and then it's any color from that point on. I got it mixed up with all of the Evolving Wilds variants that just enters tapped for whichever color you choose. The Wormwall Sweeper. It's probably actually going to play pretty well here. As essentially a 2-mana 2/2 flyer. You have to station 4 power, but because of Summoning Sickness, I feel like that's not super hard, because it's like, well, this can't attack right now anyway, might as well get halfway there. And now they play pretty much any creature next turn, and they're fully stationed. Again, the spacecraft have been massive overperformers so far. They've played a lot less dirtily than they look. I think most of them have seemed pretty reasonable. To where this is one I thought was going to be just completely unplayable, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably a magic card, actually. Yeah, I mean, they just can fully station it and get a 2/2 off of Sammy now. Very good. This only kills tapped creatures, which is rough. I can't kill Sammy. Siege Ship Impact. This is actually very good against the Wormwall Sweeper. I'm a big fan of that. If I actually kill any of those. What if I kill the drone, they get a counter somewhere else anyway? So we land 6 and 7. So if we top deck a land, I can World Sire next turn. Station 7. Yeah, probably worth it. Again, the station mechanics played really interesting, because again, that is a situation there where I have to decide, like, is it worth immediately unlocking the Scout Lander or threatening to send 11 in? Because 11 is huge. A 7/4 and a 4/2 there. And that might have been the wrong choice. I think it's something that we can learn a lot as we go through these events, learning when the right time to station is. That could be something that takes all format long, honestly. Because I could see that have just, like, being the wrong play, because this has doesn't have haste. So, like, I could have just jammed with everybody there, and, like, the turn that I cast the World Sire, because it doesn't have haste anyway, we could just plop it out, and then I know I can station the Scout Lander in one go off of the World Sire. So it was likely better to just attack with everybody and have World Sire unlock the Scoutlander the turn I play it, since it can't attack anyway, and I care a lot more about my attacks than my blocks right now, so... I don't know, it's interesting. Either way, very good start for us, and rough time for our opponent apparently, so we will be 2-0 heading into Game 3. Alright, here we are on the play for Game number 2. Real slow hand here, but we survived till 8 mana, and we're going to do a very explosive play with that battleship. The battleship is also weirdly easy to station. Only 5 power to get a 10/10 flying trample active. But I suppose the reasoning is that, like, the turn you play it, they know that you have lost all of your small creatures. So, can't really be stationing that up with a virus beetle or something, because that's going to be very dead to the 4 damage. Our opponent's on blue-red, which is thematically supposed to be a artifact-focused deck. And so far, so good on that. They start with an artifact that gets the +1/+1 counter whenever they play another one. The Ore Plate Pangolin. Yes, more pangolins, let's go. I do love me some artifact decks, so I'm hoping the blue-red artifact deck plays pretty well here. The remix or mixer artifact format, if you've ever played that before, that was pretty cool, pretty fun. I also like Kaladesh a lot. All the artifact stuff. Alright, well, let's see if they want to kill a virus beetle. No. So they might have a removal spell or a counter spell for our Ice Cave Crasher, but we don't have any bait we can cast here. So we just slam it out. Here comes Bombard. Sure is. 2 in a red, 4 damage to a creature. That is a reprint back from one of the Ixalan sets. Used to be about, like, pirates bombarding things with their cannons off of their pirate ship. And now it's like a space cannon. It's an orbital bombardment kind of thing. So very clever reprint there. I do enjoy that. Pretty good find for the limited removal in the set. Flavorful reprint. We'll go for the Grav Ship. Our worst case scenario is picking up this Crasher to play later. And I like the Festival Crasher. I suppose they could also counterspell, but that's far from the worst case scenario with 2 incredibly impactful plays coming up. Pinnacle Kill Ship or the Crasher. If I pick up the Kill Ship and I don't draw any lands, I'm going to be in a very bad spot. I think I just need to pick up something to where I know no matter what I draw, I'll have plays soon. Stations the Grav Ship a tiny bit, I guess. This is another scenario, again, the station mechanic's going to be really skill testing, because it's like 1 damage to an opponent at 19 isn't that valuable, but 1 charge counter on a Station 8 card, how valuable is that really? Like we don't know, like, when we're playing our next biggest creature, it's going to be a 4/4 both of these, which we'll station this up in 2 goes, whether or not this has 1 random counter on it. But maybe the turn I play the Circuit Feeder, I'm giving somebody +X/+O, right? So the turn I play this will actually give itself +3/+O. So actually, this will be 7 power, which is the 7 I need. 1 + 7 for exactly 8. If I didn't station 1 power onto the Grav Ship last turn, then top decking a land wouldn't activate the Grav Ship. But since I did, top decking a land does. It's complex in a good way. Well, we've got issues. 4/5 is going to be large. I feel I have to play the scroll here. Which means no blocks take 6. Ooh, but it guarantees I get the Circuit Feeder down the turn after this, which unlocks the Grav Ship and kills the Pangolin at worst. I could unlock the Grav Ship, kill the Pangolin, and if I top deck a land, I could... No, close encounters 2. I would have 7 out of 8, so I can't play this and encounter in the same turn. So I guess what I can do here that's a tiny bit interesting is if I don't top deck the land, or actually if I do top deck the land, I could play Crasher and then a land and then close encounter the 4/5. What is this? Whenever an artifact enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Oh my god, they gave the captain from that one Ixalan set flying? Alright, we didn't top deck a land, and now we're in an insanely bad spot. Yeah, I was really hoping Crasher encounter on the Sky Warden. Since that isn't a play, I think we just Circuit Feeder. Now we're killing the Flyer. Unlocking the Grav Ship to gain some life. Oh, Counterspell here would be really bad for me. Instant speed removal would be bad too. They could use the instant speed removal in response to me targeting it to buff its power. And because you can only station at sorcery speed, that would make it so I can't station the lifelinker, which would keep me pretty far out of this game. This is another thing I've been noticing. It feels like, especially for these rampy decks with like good 8-drops and stuff, this could be an 18 land format. I'm still just playing the default 17 lands right now, but that could certainly be wrong. They have another Bombard in their sealed pool, the double up. Be very strong. Gross. Yeah, that's a great pool. Again, I still think we'd be super in this game with some land draws. So this could be a deck building error here of just not being at 18 lands. Double? 2 of the same signpost uncommon as well? Wild. God, that is good. Puts the lands out tapped. If I could just get one untapped, like double spelling with both of these would be so monumental here. Yeah, I can't play Scoutlander. I'm just dead if I do. I don't have the options here. I have to Radiant Strike. Man, this is multiple turns in a row. I'm like a single mana for being so in this game. Because kill that, gain 3, ramp, guarantee the battleship to blow up the rest of their board would be insane. Down to 3, and I didn't get any life because they had a bounce spell in hand to save the Warden. You are too late, my friend. You are just too late. Which is a tragedy. We are dead to 1 removal spell or 1 artifact. I guess I'm not... I go to 1 life if they just play an artifact, but I am dead to 1 removal spell. This puts a counter on itself, right? Yeah, put a counter on this creature. So 1 artifact puts 1 counter on each of these. It doesn't put 2 counters on this one. Play a creature. Okay, top deck land still gets there. Wipes their whole board. That is not top deck land, but it's about as good as a non-land draw could get here. As a flying blocker. Double landfall trigger on Crasher can make it 6 power, so I can station the Grav Ship. But I need this untapped. So I can't double trigger this Scout land. Well, actually I can. I just sack a land instead of Scroller or Grav Ship. I'm at 7 lands and the 8th mana from the rock. That is still the battleship mana next turn, yeah. Okay. That's 2 blockers up either way. think I want the life gain one pretty bad. Actually, maybe I'm supposed to attack with this. 5 life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I attack with it, I'm dead to 1 removal spell. But I'm dead to 1 removal spell either way, right? Because then they just kill the life linker. I block with this on a 2-power creature and take 3. I go to -1. Alright. Mana's just been slow enough. We're like dead to removal every turn. Alright. There it is. There might have been somewhere on an earlier turn we could have played slightly tighter. But I don't think these last few turns we had any way to get to this battleship sooner. And certainly we could have 2 blockers up in a multitude of ways, but only 2 blockers up to where I'm dead to 1 removal spell anyway, no matter how I play that last turn. Does anybody have a death trigger? Nope, we're just dead. Shame. Ah, that was brutal. I'm putting an 18th land in here between games, and we will move on to game number 4. Alright, here we are on the draw for game number 4. This could be a problem against aggro, but I don't think there's a lot of great aggro, certainly in sealed in this set. Black-white is one of the most aggressive color pairs. They start with a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance Menace that gets bigger when any creature dies. Good lord, that's scary. Got some life gain here with all these worms, and some removal when we get a little higher up. We can exile Servandum. Luckily they didn't have the curve out here, no 3-mana creature to play. But the 4-drop is large. Put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature, they're going to put it on itself so that the removal is not, or not their removal, but their eggs are not all in one basket here. I think the life total pressure is big enough I might have to Grav Kill instead of Germinate Worm right now. If I play the worm and then they just removal spell it, it's pretty bad for me. Oh, the blade only puts the counters on itself. Okay. Again, still pre-release, so I'm literally reading all these cards first time right now. Oh. Yeah, I feel they're pretty likely to removal here, so I'm going to Grav Kill the blade. Oh, this triggers off exile too? Oh my god, that's good. And when I exile Servandum, they trigger and blow up a non-land permanent. Good grief. And it triggers off the warp? I should have exiled this. I did not realize how absurd the +1/+1 counters are. Great, yeah, so now when I exile they blow up one of my permanents. 18 lands, I said. Arena says no. You will still miss your land drops. Man, that's particularly devastating. Because the fact that this gets counters even on the exiles means now when I kill it, they kill my scroll, and them blowing up any of my mana is so horrific for me right now. This card's just going to solo us. I had to exile that and just take 5, I guess. It's been a difficult game. There's the Dirgecraft. Two land draws away from playing a World Sire. Can't block a Menace card. I guess because the worm can't block Menace either, it's actually better to warp it, so I'm gaining 4 off of it over time. And then just impact the Dirgecraft, but we want to wait to see if they spend any resources putting charge counters on it. Like if they tap a really big creature and we blow it up in response, that's pretty great. Seam Rip my Blooming Stinger. I mean, I can get it back as a surprise at instant speed, but it can't block something with Menace anyway. I think I'm still going to do it. I get the Lander token since I'm blowing up something with mana value 2 or less. Oh man, the Vigilance to crew or station the spacecrafts too. Every turn this card just keeps getting better and better. Good grief. Oh. I don't know if I can impact the Seam Rip here. I'm going to. I'm getting my Lander. Seven mana now. Spend 5 on the Worm and 2 on the Lander, and I guarantee a World Sire the turn after this. Now I have 2 blockers up for Vondom, so they need another removal spell to actually get in. Or I threaten to kill them. Finally. Hell yeah. When anybody pops out, they gain 1, and if they gain 3 or more, they also draw a card. Alright, I'm assuming they're just going to kill both my creatures here, but if they've got a combat trick, this is going to be astronomically bad. Okay. Can't do much about that. Can't just sit here and not block. So they only killed 1 there still. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Unlock the station. Get a green. I've got Command Bridge for white. And I think I already played my 1 white spell. No, I didn't. That was last game. I'm going crazy. Nothing in their grave I can pick up with Corral of the Void, because my removal exiles. Tapped. Man, playing the lands tapped might get me here. If they entered untapped, I could tap out for this and still have Grav Kill. If I Grav Kill Servandum, I have the block there. No, if I Grav Kill Servandum, they're going to blow up the Stinger. Alright, well. $21-21. At least I did the thing with World Sire this game. Oh no, what does this thing do? Whenever they deal combat damage to a player, draw a card and lose a life. At the beginning of the end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield, or they warped, they get a 2/2. It's pretty good. Oh my god! Hold? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no, they get the... Oh, they don't have the ward mana for World Sire. They can blow up the battleship, though. Ward 3, baby! Yes! Oh my god. I maybe should have just stationed the battleship there. But then I hit them for 0 instead of 21 that turn. Oh. Ward 3, I just know this happens, because Ward 3, they only have 3 mana up. That's insane! Oh my god, this set is gonna be swingy. This is gonna be... This is such a Timmy set. It's such a, like, big, ridiculous plays that just flip the game kind of set. This is gonna be insane in the best and the worst way, depending on the side of the table you're on. That was wild stuff. And we are officially 4-1 with this deck. A nice positive... Oh, sorry, 3-1 with this deck. A nice positive record for the sealed event. But we are at the 59-minute mark as of the recording here. Probably be edited down a little bit for you all. Editing out some of the dead air, what I'm thinking and my opponents are thinking. But that is the 1 hour mark of the recording session. So we are going to move on to the next deck. But that was such a great way, such an insane way to end the sealed event off. Wow, yeah, there's explosive stuff in the set. Yeah, I mean, Ward 3 is a massive deal that makes it much harder to kill. They need 7 mana to kill a World Slayer with like a grab kill. So I think this card's genuinely playable. I think there's a lot of sets where this would just not be that good, but there's multiple different avenues of ramp you can go to try to get this out with the scrolls, mainly the lander tokens, but also like a couple mana dorks as well, potentially. And I think with all the lander tokens and stuff, this is pretty reasonable. Again, Ward 3 is what makes this card, and the fact that it has that relevant enter effect, you almost always will end up with more lands than you ended up sacrificing when you play it. And by sacrificing 7 lands, you basically have a one-shot kill if it ever touches your opponent. And probably the more important card involved in that one, the Extinguisher Battleship, absolutely a banger here. A board wipe that comes with a giant flying trampler later in the game. Explosive things to end off this sealed event, but a very fun one. Happy to see some more crazy things happening in games that I thought were completely unwinnable. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.